Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri has released its class of 2028 profile. But this year, unlike past years, WashU has something to hide. That is the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. And if you're interested in learning about whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America, visit areyouontracktogetin.com. Again, that's areyouontracktogetin.com, at which you will complete a free 3-minute assessment. Your results will be emailed to you right away, and they will help you clarify whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America. If they've done it a certain way in the past, they usually keep doing it that way in the future. But this year, WashU has released its class of 2028 profile with something missing. Let's start at the very beginning. Washington University's class of 2028 are those students entering fall of 2024. They're expected to graduate May of 2028. Before we actually dive into the class of 2028 profile, I want to share with you WashU's class of 2027 profile, which is a really important baseline to start from. Washington University received 32,240 applications. They admitted 3,855 students, and of those admitted, only 1,832 enrolled. Overall, they have an admissions rate in the class of 2027. These are the students who started fall of 2023 of 12%, but that's somewhat obscuring the reality of the fact that if you applied early decision, the acceptance rate was 26%. And if you applied regular decision, the acceptance rate was a paltry 9%. Enrolled students were broken down as follows. 1,195 went arts and science, 166 went business, 64 went architecture, 81 went to art, 303 went to engineering, and 23 went into something known as beyond boundaries. The test scores were reported last year, and they're reported again this year, but last year, the middle 50% were represented in a very high number, average of middle 50%, as 1,500 to 1,570 on the SAT, 33 to 35 on the ACT. You must remember that not all students applying to WashU submit scores. 57% applied with scores for the class of 2027. 43% applied without scores for the class of 2027. And of those who enrolled, 56% enrolled with test scores, 44% enrolled without. 61% came from public schools, 39% came from private schools, 52% female, 48% male. So that's not nearly as big of a spread as you see at many selective colleges these days and many colleges overall in the United States these days. 89% of students reporting rank were in the top 10% of their high school class. 21% of students in the class were Pell eligible. 17% of the class were first-generation college students, as deemed first-generation college students, by the way, in which WashU defines first-generation college students. That is a definition that can mean something different at every school that reports. Now, last year, WashU reported that in the class of 2027, 27% of the students were Asian, 12% were Black or African American, 13% were Hispanic, 1% were Native American, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, 1% were race ethnicity unknown, 35% were white, 11% were international, 26% were underrepresented students of color, known at WashU as URSOC, URSOC, and 52% overall are students of color. Geography-wise, 30% were from the Midwest, 18% from the Middle States. The New England area had 5%, and the South had 11%. The West had 17%, 65% from more than 500 miles away, 13% from other countries. And that is quite interesting. Now it's 2024. And that means we're looking at the class of 2028. And we have a lot of the same information as we had last year, but the numbers obviously are slightly different. There were 32,755 applicants for the class of 2028. There were 3,953 students accepted, and of those, only 1,870 enrolled. So that is slightly higher than last year. The overall admit rate was 12%. That is the same as last year, but the early decision acceptance rate was 1 percentage point lower at 25% for the class of 2028, and the overall regular decision acceptance rate was also 1% lower at 8% for the class of 2028. Otherwise, numbers are pretty similar. Arts and Sciences, 1192. Last year was 1195. Business, 164. The year before was 166. Architecture is 73. The year before was 64. Art, 96 students matriculated. The year before it was only 81. Engineering had 312 this year for the class of 2028. The year before it had 303. And Beyond Boundaries had 33. The year before it had 23. The middle 50% SAT range, 1,500 to 1,570, and 33 to 35 on the ACT is exactly the same as last year. And the number of students who basically applied with test scores and were applying without test scores, basically the same, very similar numbers. 59% public school, 41% private school. So those numbers slightly went up for public school students. This year we have 1 percentage point higher of female, and 88% of students reporting rank were in the top 10% of their class. That number is just 1 percentage point lower than last year. This year, 24% of the entering class at WashU is Pell eligible, so that number increased by 3%. 18% are first-generation college students. That increased by 1%. But then all of a sudden, WashU, which is being very transparent, has stopped being transparent because we move right on to geography. There is no mention at this time, in basically early August of 2024, of what's going on with the demographics based off of race, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, international, URSOC, as they called it last year, total students of color, race, ethnicity unknown, Native American, all of this stuff. MIA. What does Washington University have to hide? It's very likely that when this information was published on the site, that there is very little, if any, movement left on the wait list. So why WashU is not reporting this information is a real question. I don't understand it. I mean, yes, affirmative action was outlawed in the United States in college admissions in 2023, but other colleges like Tulane and Olin and Colorado College have reported the racial breakdown of their entering class. WashU is not doing that. WashU is just not doing it at all. And so that means to me that WashU has something to hide. Why are they hiding this information? I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant. WashU, just come on out. Be proud of who you accepted. Let us know who you've accepted demographically to your class. I would love to see how things have changed in the first year that you've had to operate in a post-affirmative action world in many, many decades. It would be very edifying for the general population, and especially for students who are considering applying for WashU's class of 2029 and their parents and those advising families applying to college this year. It would be very valuable for you to share with us what the demographics are racially, ethnically of the class of 2028 at WashU. But for whatever reason, as of early August, WashU has not shared that information in its class of 2028 profile, and I think that is a great shame. Now, maybe you want to get into WashU, and you want to do everything you possibly can to seal the deal and become a WashU student, and I want to help you do it. And so you may be interested in my newest product, which is known as my pre-read. When you have finished your Common App, and you want to know if it's as strong as possible and whether or not in its current condition your chances of admission are impressive, inconclusive, or inadequate. For, in this case, Washington University, you want my pre-read. Getting my pre-read now means having me review your entire application, just like an admissions officer or admissions committee will review it later, and receiving by email no later than the time you reserve a comprehensive report highlighting what's working and what's not on your full Common App, and in this case, your WashU Common App supplement. But I do this for other schools as well, so maybe you want to do it for another school, and that's okay. But today, you're probably getting to this point in the video because you're really interested in WashU. If you've yet to submit your Common App to WashU, my pre-read may motivate you to make adjustments to it before your deadline. If you've already submitted your Common App to WashU, my pre-read will prepare you for what I deem to be your likely admissions outcome at Washington University in St. Louis. I wish you guys the best of luck. My pre-read is entirely infotainment, meaning it is informational and it is going to be maybe a little bit entertaining to get an idea of what Craig Meister thinks about the quality of the application you have produced, in this case for WashU. If you want to learn more about my pre-read, go to mypreread.com. Again, to learn more and maybe even purchase my pre-read, go to mypreread.com. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process, go to my website, which is collegemeister.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions